Hi guys, it's Bridget. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to be doing a book haul. I've recently picked up some new books from all over the place, really. Some of them I have read already, some of them I have not, and some of them I don't even really know what they're about. So I am just going to get right into it and kind of walk through all of these with you. And yes, before we get any further, I did get a haircut. I cut like 12 inches off of my hair at least. I don't even actually know how long it was. Making appointments is a major source of anxiety for me, so I tend to leave things until they cannot possibly be ignored any longer. And then I finally took care of it. So yes, new short hair. Anyway, enough about that. Let's just get into the book haul. All right, the first book that I wanted to talk about in this haul is The Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is the third book in the Farseer trilogy. In my last haul, I got the first two books of this trilogy because I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but I loved it. It was so good, and so I had to buy the third one so that I would have the set. I've already shared my thoughts on this book in my last video, so go check that out if you haven't seen it already. So I'm not going to really share too many more thoughts about this one here, but I just want to say I love this series. It is so good, and I just want to read like every book that Robin Hobb has ever written. Another book that I talked about in my last video that I did actually buy was Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh. This is a super short little novella. I think it's like less than 100 pages. It's 105 pages. And it was a super cute little novella about Tobias, who is the keeper of this forest, and a relationship that he forms with Henry Silver, who is the new owner of the land. Again, just to keep it short, I absolutely loved this one. I'm so glad that I own it because I don't actually tend to buy novellas. I almost always read them on my phone. But if you want to hear more of my thoughts on this one, again, go check out my previous video about recent 5-star reads. I will link that below. The next book that I picked up is another sequel, and it is Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this is the second book in the Foundryside series. So I did already read this one, I don't know, maybe like a month ago at this point, and it was really good. I loved the first one in the series. I loved this one. I think I ended up giving both of them 4 stars because there were certain parts that were a little bit confusing to me. But overall, great series. I am a little bit bummed because the first book, Foundryside, I own that one in a paperback, and this one I own obviously in hardcover because they didn't have paperback when I went to go buy this one. I'm not sure why. So they're a little mismatched, but regardless, I love the covers. They're so bold, they're so fun. I'm glad that I own this one, and now whenever the third one comes out, I'll have to own that one as well. All right, on to the books that I have recently bought that I have not read. The first one is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I picked this one up when I was visiting my brother in New Hampshire last spring, and we were in this little bookstore and I saw this one on the shelf, and since I remembered that I had been wanting to read more of Becky Chambers, I decided to pick it up. And since I bought it, I haven't had a chance to read it yet just because I haven't really been in the mood for sci-fi recently. I've been very much in fantasy mode. I might get burnt out from that soon and then switch over to sci-fi, and then this will be waiting for me. But I've just heard nothing but good things about this series, and the last book that I read by Becky Chambers was To Be Taught If Fortunate, which I think is very different from this one, but I loved it regardless. And so I feel like I'm going to love this one as well. I just need to pick it up. And I don't even really know what this one is about, and I'm trying to keep it that way because I'm really excited for this book and I don't want spoilers. I kind of want to go into it blind. All I know is that it's like a space opera and it's a series. I mean, I feel like that description's pretty useless, but there you have it. That's what this one's about, and hopefully I'll read this one in the next couple months and start this series. Another sci-fi novel that I picked up recently that I just haven't had the chance to read is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I really don't know what this one is about either. I just know that I read The Martian and I read Artemis. Both of those were by Andy Weir, and I loved both of them. I thought they were just so fun, so well written, so well researched, and just like the perfect sci-fi novels. And so I saw he had this one out recently and I bought it. But I will say that the note on the inside sounds amazing. A lone astronaut, an impossible mission, an ally he never imagined. Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and the Earth itself will perish. Sounds like high stakes, sounds exciting. Can't wait to read this one. But as I said, I haven't really been in a sci-fi mood. I feel like with sci-fi, sometimes you have to concentrate a little bit too hard. Obviously, you don't need to understand everything that's going on and all the technological aspects of sci-fi novels, but it does help to kind of pay attention and feel like you do have a grasp of the world and the technology in the world. And so I just haven't really felt like spending the brain power to really dive into this world yet, but I am really excited for it. I have heard such good things. And so again, once I kind of get into sci-fi mode, I will be picking this up very quickly, I'm sure. And I feel like I'll just end up flying through it. But for now, it is going to sit and look pretty on my shelf as another beautiful hardcover. The next two books that I picked up recently are sort of random. The first one is Homefront by Kristin Hannah, and I got this one from one of the little free libraries around town. I always check those out when I'm walking around or out walking my dogs, just because people do fill them up pretty frequently around where I live. So I'll usually stop, see if there's anything interesting in there. And this one was by Kristin Hannah, so I recognize the name, even though I don't think that I've read anything by her. But I think this one is just about a married couple. The wife is a US soldier and the husband is like an attorney, I think. So according to the back cover, it looks like Jolene is deployed abroad and Michael is left home with the kids. So they are trying to manage their marriage. Jolene is obviously dealing with some trauma from being deployed, and Michael is, I guess, dealing with some like horrible tragedy that strikes at home, and the two have to kind of deal with these two separate lives while still remaining in their marriage, and their marriage is crumbling. I honestly don't know when I'm going to end up reading this. It's not really my kind of book, so I sort of just like picked it up on a whim, but I feel like it will be a pretty good filler read at some point, and it kind of seems like it'll be sad, so maybe if I need a good cry, this one will be a good one. I don't know. Have any of you guys read this one? Let me know what you thought of it. The next one that I picked up is also super random. It is The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. I have never heard of her before, but one of my coworkers brought in a stack of books and this was in it, and I think it's just like a thriller. From what I can tell, it is about a woman who gets kidnapped by somebody she met in a bar, and her family starts trying to find her, and he sort of hides her away. And it's being compared to Gone Girl, which I've never read the book, but I saw the movie. Again, it's not really something that I would normally pick up, but sometimes I feel like it's good to have these like sort of random books on call so that if I ever want something different, I've got the option. But otherwise, I've never really even heard of this one before, and I don't know what it's about or if it's any good. So if anyone has read it, let me know what you thought. All right, so the last new book that I bought recently is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This was one of my most anticipated books for this year. I was just really excited about it, and that's why I bought it, because I mean, one, just look at the cover. It's so beautiful, like just absolutely gorgeous. And the fact that it takes place in this Indian-inspired fantasy world is super unique and refreshing. I don't think I've read any fantasy books that are inspired by like Indian culture. So I was really, really looking forward to it. But unfortunately, so far, I'm really not liking it that much. Like, it's just not very good. The writing isn't that great. It's sort of cheesy at times, but I'm only like 150 pages in. Like, I'm really not that far, so I'm holding out hope. Got my fingers crossed that it will improve. Maybe I just need to get into the writing style a little bit more, because I really, really want to like this book a lot. I mean, that's why I bought it. It focuses on a maidservant and a princess, and basically the princess is locked in a tower by her emperor brother, and the maidservant works for her, and I think it becomes a tale about rescuing this princess, or them kind of overthrowing the emperor. So I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully it does improve, but I mean, if not, it's a beautiful book. I'm sure somebody will enjoy it. All right, so those are the 8 books that I recently purchased or otherwise acquired. It's a pretty good stack of them. I feel like it's a good variety. I just love adding books to my bookshelf. I really didn't have a problem buying books until recently, but now that I've started, it's really hard to stop. I will say that I have been placing more holds at the library recently to try and get myself to stop buying the books that I want to read, and it has been working. It's good, but also I did just buy a second bookshelf, which needs to be filled, so it's not helping matters either. Anyway, that is it for today. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books, and be sure to like and subscribe. Also, be sure to go find me over on Instagram and Goodreads. I will put links to those down in the description below. Otherwise, guys, I will see you all in my next video.